racing? Are your hands shaking? It's courage in the making. The stage is yours for the taking. I've been waiting in the shadows, holding back what I should say. Got a fire inside my chest now, but I push the flame away. Every step felt like a mountain, every word got lost in doubt. Still a voice inside kept calling, this is what your life's about. Do you feel it in your soul? Something bigger than the fear. I was waiting in the shadows, now I know the light is here. It's time to step up, it's time to speak up. And when I scale up, I can change my world, your world, the whole world. Let's blow up the stage, light a fire in the crowd. Feel my words ignite, and I'll make myself proud, proud. Proud. Some will say it's time to rise now, from the hiding in my head, from the voice that keeps on whispering it's for someone else instead. But I'm done with playing smaller, done with waiting to be saved. I was born to move a heartbeat. Oh, I am strong and I am brave. I can feel it in my soul. What I carry matters now, even if my voice is shaking. I will say the words out loud. It's time to step up, it's time to speak up. And when I scale up, I can change my world, your world, the whole world. Let's blow up the stage, light a fire in the crowd. Feel my words ignite, and I'll make myself proud, proud, proud. Not perfect, just honest, not fearless, just true. One story can open a completely different view. Trust the process, trust your voice. This is your moment, this is your choice. It's time to step up, it's time to speak up. And when I scale up, I can change my world, your world, the whole world. Let's blow up the stage, light a fire in the crowd. Feel our words ignite and make ourselves so proud, proud. Light a fire in the crowd. Speak it loud, loud, loud. Time to make the choice to let the world hear my voice.
Welcome, 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 amazing people. Who is ready to step up, to speak up, and to scale up today? Well, I can tell you for a fact there are at least 4 incredible transformational speakers backstage with me who are ready to blow up the stage today. So what I want to know is, who do we have in our audience? Because this is a truly global event. We have speakers from every corner of the world, and I want to know who in our audience is tuning in today. So drop it in the chat for me. Where are you coming from, and what are you most excited about today? What do we got? We got Chuck, and Chuck I know is in the Netherlands. So welcome to you, Chuck. Thanks for tuning in today and supporting your fellow transformational speakers. We have Charlene. Charlene, where are you coming in from again? Are you on the East Coast or the West Coast or the middle of the coast? It's great to see you, and we really appreciate you being here, because over the last 8 weeks, our speakers have been through an incredible transformational journey. And they might be speaking with you today, but the journey that they've been on is not about words. Pasadena, that's it, Charlene, thank you. It's not about words, it's about heart. It's about emotion. It's about transformation. And it's about the message that they want to share with you and the rest of the world. And that takes courage. It takes clarity. And it takes connection. And that is what they're going to be sharing with you today. Because you are not just an audience. You guys are a part of this transformation as well. Because you are going to see and feel their authenticity, their vulnerability, their talent, and their gifts. And when you see something that you really take an insight from, I want you to share it with them, because this is the power of community and transformation. Everyone connecting from across the world with the pursuit of growth and wisdom and transformation. So these guys, they're not just here to present, they're here to speak their truth. And they've built that ability and that confidence by working their muscles of confidence, of vulnerability, and of transformation. And they are ready to share it with you today with power. So your energy in the chat is what drives these speakers. So when you see them come on, show them your energy, drop it in the chat. Let's see your emojis. What do you notice? What are they doing really well? What's an insight, something that you've taken away? Because when we just watch a speaker, we just learn it in the moment. But when we engage with the content, when we shout out the answers, when we drop it in the chat, we remember the content 10 times more deeply. Because it's not just information, it's transformation. And I know how excited our speakers to get on the stage, but before we bring them up, I want to give you 3 powerful questions that are going to make this experience unforgettable for you, the watcher. So my first question is, how can you make this experience easy for yourself? Well, the way you do that, take notes. Write like you're going to share this with somebody that you love. And don't just listen to what they say, but listen to how they say it. Think about their openings. Think about the transitions they use to keep the story coherent and moving, and how they create emotion. Because when you watch this, you're not only learning content, you're also learning the craft of speaking. How do you make this fun for yourself? Well, you make it fun by playing full out. When someone says, say yes, then be the first to drop yes in the chat, or drop a 1 or an emoji, and make it interactive, because just like in life, the more you give, the more you get. So when you remember this and you play full out, you're going to be able to use these tools in your speaking journey and be an even more powerful communicator yourself. And finally, how do you make it impactful? Maybe it's about sharing the things that you took away, because when we listen, we learn, but when we teach, we remember. So don't just absorb the content today, engage with it. Right, that is enough for me. I love all the engagement. We're already getting the chat. You guys are incredible. And I know you're ready to welcome our first speaker onto the stage with some serious energy. So drop a 1 in the chat if you're ready for our first speaker today. With more than 3 decades of experience helping leaders unlock human potential in very complex environments, Scott Fosler is a talent strategist, a coach, a transformational speaker, and the founder of Carbon-Based Leadership. This is a science-inspired framework that draws on the structure of carbon, which is the element that makes all of life possible. And this illuminates how people grow, adapt, and lead in challenging situations. Scott's talk is going to challenge us to reclaim our clarity, our resilience, and the meaning we have in life by understanding the architecture of who we are. So please, welcome to the stage with his talk, The Carbon Model, a simple structure for a life that matters, the incredible Scott Fosler. Welcome to the stage, Scott. The stage is yours. Take it away.
Good morning, everybody. Have you ever asked yourself, even for a moment, if I were gone tomorrow, would it even matter? Maybe not out loud, not dramatically, just quietly. Underneath everything else that you're carrying, maybe at the end of a long or a frustrating day. Because that question isn't really about being gone. It's about whether your life matters, whether your presence here changes anything, whether you're here for more than motion, output, and survival. And sometimes that question begins long before we even have words for it. Let me tell you a story about a boy named Albert Einstein. He's 6 years old, laying in bed, sick in the Swiss Alps. And his father walks in and he places something into his hands. Albert, do you know what this is? No, Father, what is it? It is a compass. And if you know how to use it, you will never, ever be lost. Albert takes it, he spins it around. The needle spins, then settles, pointing north. He turns again. The needle spins, settles, points north. Every direction, always pointing north. And something clicked for him in that moment. Beneath what looked like random motion, there was order, a pattern, a structure, a hidden truth beneath the surface. And that moment didn't just capture his attention, it gave him a new way of seeing the world that influenced the rest of his life. And I think that's what many of us are searching for also. Not just success, not just achievement, but a way to understand our place in life and how to live our life well. I know that search. When I was a kid, my mom was a teacher in the same school that I attended. So when the bell rang at the end of the day, I would walk down the hall to her classroom and wait while she finished her day. Sometimes I would help her clean the room, rearranging desks or wiping down the blackboard. But most of the time, I just stared at the walls. And on one wall was a timeline of life, from single-celled organisms to sea creatures to reptiles to dinosaurs, mammals, and humans. And on the other wall was the table of the elements, the periodic table of the elements. One wall showed me the story of life. The other wall showed me the building blocks of matter. And I remember standing there, a little boy in a Texas classroom with the history of life on one wall and the elements of the universe on the other. And I felt very small. Small in time, small in space, small in that gigantic story. And I remember wondering even then, where do I fit in all of that? What will my life mean? Will I matter? But something else was hiding in plain sight. Across every living thing on that timeline, every tree, every bird, every animal, every human being, there was one shared foundation that was on that table of the elements, and it was carbon. I didn't know it then, but my mother's classroom had become my compass. It gave me a question that would follow me for decades. If carbon is the foundation for all life, could it also reveal something about how to live one? Years later, that question came rushing back to me in a very different setting. I was on a late night Zoom call coaching a senior executive. Big role, big responsibility, accomplished, respected, and completely exhausted. And at one point, he looked down and he said quietly, if I were gone tomorrow, I'm not sure it would matter. I've heard versions of that sentence for more than 35 years. Sometimes it sounds like burnout, sometimes like self-doubt, sometimes like success that never translated into meaning. But underneath, it's often the same question. Do I matter? And here's what we know. Mattering matters. Researcher and author Jennifer Wallace describes mattering as feeling valued and having value to add. And that distinction is important because we do not need to just be seen. We need to contribute. to add value. We are interdependent. That is how human beings have survived, evolved, and grown. So when someone asks, do I matter? They are not asking a soft question. They're asking a human question, a structure question, a life question. And that is why I created the carbon-based learning model. Not because the world needs another leadership framework, but because I kept seeing the same pattern. You see, people rarely transform because someone simply tells them to believe in themselves. Belief can spark change, but structure is what sustains change. And if carbon is the structure beneath all life, maybe it can help us understand the structure beneath our human potential. Because carbon is not just common, it is extraordinary. It is the foundation of all known life on Earth because it connects. It forms stable, flexible structures that make complex life possible. Structures like DNA. And when I looked again at the carbon atom, I saw a kind of architecture. At the center is the nucleus. That's where the atom's core lives. Inside the core are neutrons. Those are particles that add stabilizing mass. They help hold the center together. Also, inside the core are protons. Protons represent identity. The number of protons defines where the element sits on the periodic table of the elements. 6 protons and it's carbon. Change the number of protons and it becomes a different element. Then around the core are the electrons, always in motion, moving, interacting with the world around them. They bond, they connect. They are the part of the atom that reaches outward and creates connections. So the architecture is simple. Neutrons stabilize, protons define, and electrons create momentum. And I began to see that same architecture in us. We need something that stabilizes us, something that defines us, and something that helps us move forward. And that is the foundation of the carbon model. At its simplest, stability, identity, momentum, which create potential, life, and energy. Because really, it's that simple. Let's break it down. First, stability. At the center of the atom is a stable core. And in us, stability begins with our shared humanity, our need for meaning, our need to belong, our need for dignity, our need to matter. These are not things that we earn, they are things that we are built with. And many of us spend our lives trying to prove that we're worthy of something we already are. Working harder, pushing more, performing more. But what if what you've been fighting within yourself was never a flaw to fix? What if it was simply a part of being human? So the first question the carbon model asks is, what stabilizes me? Second is identity. Carbon doesn't just stabilize, it also differentiates. In chemistry, protons define the element. And in us, identity works the same way. Not comparison, not competition, not branding, but identity. It's the way you think, the ideas that you return to, the things you notice that others miss. That's not random. That's data. That's life telling you something about who you are. You are not here to become a better version of somebody else. You are here to become more fully yourself. Because contribution, value, does not come from imitation. It comes from definition. So the second question that the carbon model asks is, what defines me? And third, momentum. Not movement, but momentum. Movement can be random. Momentum is energy with orientation. Momentum is directed. Electrons create possibility because they move outward, they interact, they connect. And we create change in much the same way, not usually through one gigantic or dramatic breakthrough, but through small, directed choices that begin to compound. It's the moment you speak up instead of being quiet, the moment you ask for help. It's the moment you try instead of waiting, the moment you choose differently and then do it again, because that is how momentum works. And that, I think, is where so many people get stuck. They feel that pull towards more meaning, more contribution, more alignment, and they misread it. They think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just be satisfied? Who am I to want more? But what if that restlessness is not a flaw? What if it is a signal? What if the part of you that wants more life, more contribution, more energy is not evidence of ingratitude, but evidence of design? So the third question that the carbon model asks is, what moves me forward? Because when you have stability, you can stop trying to prove it to others. When you have identity, you can stop imitating others. And when you have momentum, you can stop waiting for others. And that is when potential becomes possibility. Life becomes more fully lived. Energy becomes available for meaningful action. So here's the idea that I want to leave you with. When you ask, do I matter? You may really be asking for structure. And life may already contain one. The carbon model gives us 3 questions. What stabilizes me? What defines me? What moves me forward? These questions move us from proving to grounding, from imitating to defining, from waiting to moving. So when I think back to that classroom now, to that wall of amoebas, to dinosaurs, to mammals, to humans, and to that chart of the elements, I no longer see a lesson. I see the moment that I began looking for the pattern underneath life. Einstein had a compass. I had a table of time and the periodic table of the elements. And maybe all of us need something like that. A way to remember that we are not accidental, not interchangeable, not outside of the pattern, but a part of it. You are a carbon-based life form built for potential, life, and energy. So maybe the question is not, would it matter if I were gone? Maybe the better question is, how will it matter? Because I'm here. And here's my invitation. If you're interested in learning more about the carbon-based learning model and how it can help you build a life of potential, life, and energy, just send me an email. You'll see it in the chat. Drop the word carbon in the subject line and we can connect. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Scott, that was amazing, my friend. How did that feel to share your message with the world?
It felt great.
Fantastic. So much wisdom there, so much, and so many comments, Scott. I think that, people were saying mind-blowing, momentum is direction. It was like the world in a talk, and I love how you just broke it down into that really simple structure. What's the thing that you want people to take away most, Scott? What's the biggest impact you want people to have on that?
Our lives are more than we often give ourselves credit for.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. What was your biggest takeaway from Scott's talk today? Just drop it in the chat. What was the biggest takeaway that you took? Scott, that was so impactful, and I cannot wait to hear more from you. And I think you're going to get a ton of emails in with people wanting to know more. So let's hear it one more time for the incredible Scott. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next speaker is a cultural transformation and leadership advisor, and he has over 20 years of experience within the corporate and the financial world. Miguel discovered something that few dare to say out loud, and that is that most organizations, they don't have a strategy problem. They have a leadership problem, because when leaders get burnt out and cultures have these declarative statements that only look good on the wall, then the problem behind every team is that there are leaders trapped in short-term results. So I'm so excited to welcome today Miguel, because he helps leaders and organizations move from these slogans that nobody lives by, authenticity, customer service, honesty, to a real operating system in which culture, as he describes it, is the fertile ground that allows purpose-driven leaders to grow within the organization so that their teams can operate with clarity and energy. He wants to create companies where legacy is not measured by the last line on the P&L, but instead it's built in the people and sustained through the real results. So please help me welcome to the stage to share the culture gap, what leaders build without knowing it, the incredible Miguel. Welcome to the stage, Miguel. Stage is yours. Take it away.
Thank you, Luke, for the heartfelt introduction. I really appreciate it. Hi, everyone. My name is Miguel Martinique, and I am a transformation speaker. What does it take to transform your company's culture? It is 2009. The world's economy is having a heart attack, and I work in one of the 3 top banks in Bolivia, and things are starting to fall apart. 2 years at this job, no day off, 14 hours a day, eating at my desk. That was my world. But today, I'm not at my office. I am at the cardiologist. I am 28 years old, and my heart is exhausted. So my doctor tells me something I still remember. Miguel, your body is paying the price. You need to rest. If you don't take that call, your body is gonna make it for you. I head to work. I need to talk with my boss. I knock. He looks up. Tell me, Miguel. I just came from the cardiologist. He says I need some days off. My body is under too much pressure. Silence. And then he says something I will never forget. How can you ask for time off right now? You should be ashamed of yourself for even thinking about rest while everyone here is working. I'm not angry. I receive a gift. The clarity of the leader I don't want to become. In the afternoon, I hand in my resignation. And on my way out, almost in a whisper, he says, there are 200 people outside waiting for your job for less than what you make. That day, my days as someone else's employee ended. And you might be thinking, what does this story have to do with culture transformation? Well, my boss wasn't a monster. He was a product of a culture that measured people by hours in a chair and turned human replaceability into strategy. That culture wasn't an accident. His leaders built it, decision by decision. Every time he treated someone like a number, he built culture. If you lead a company, a team, or a culture where people do one thing but live in another, this talk is what is for you. The culture that you have is the culture that you build. It is not the market, it is not the economic cycle, it is you, the leader. What you do every single day in front of your people. And the first leader you need to transform is yourself. But what happens with the leader who wakes up and the organization gives them no room to grow? Let me tell you about Vladimir. I am in a conference room, 100 of the top leaders of the biggest company of retail in Bolivia. And I start with one question. How do you balance your professional success with your personal life? I always see a common pattern. People avoiding tough questions. At the front row is Vladimir, avoiding eye contact, trying to disappear. I ask him to stand. He rises slowly, 99 pairs of eyes on him. And I ask him again, Vladimir, how do you balance your professional success with your personal life? Silence. Then he opens up. Honestly, Miguel, it is really hard. Work is my priority. It is what lets me provide for my family. But by the time I get home, my 12-year-old is already asleep. We used to play soccer together. Now, we don't. I look out at the room. 99 people nodding. They don't need me to say anything. They are already feeling it. I tell him, this week, go home earlier and find him awake. Go and play soccer. No programs, no frameworks, just a decision. The following week, I asked the group for wins. And Vladimir is not looking at the floor anymore. He's standing up before I even call on him. Miguel, I want to share my win. Last week, I get home earlier. My son is still up. And I ask him if he wants to play soccer. His face just lights up. We go, we play, we laugh. We come back and have dinner together. And I make him a promise. Every night, soccer. The whole room's applause. It is fantastic. But why is this win possible? Because the company made a decision. Their leaders can live on time. Having a personal life is part of the standard. Vladimir didn't need more motivation. He needed an environment to make that decision. Transformation needs fertile ground. Purpose leaders need fertile ground. Without it, they won't change the culture. The culture will change them. Waking up isn't enough. You need a culture that holds you when you decide to be different. 2 months later, it's December. I am at the grocery store. Vladimir appears from across the aisle. Miguel, how are you? Good, how are things? I say. Really well. My team is improving its productivity. We are 20% up for our goal this month. We communicate better, and clients are feeling it. I'm sure I will become the best manager in this company. And I asked him, and how's your son? He made it into the school soccer team. I go watch him play on weekends now. A workshop didn't do that. A leader's decision, supported by a culture that gave him the freedom to make it, did that. That is legacy. A leader that delivers. A father watching his son play. A kid who almost quit the sport he loved and didn't. Vladimir showed me what happens inside a corporation. But legacy doesn't only happen in corporations. A client calls me, CEO of a family business he inherited from his father. Miguel, I'm feeling like I'm failing. I compare myself to my father constantly, and I feel that everyone else does it too. And I always come up short. I tell him something he isn't expecting. You will never be your father. And that is what exactly your company needs. And then I say, Your company already has your father's DNA. Now it needs yours. A month later, I see him standing taller, different energy. Miguel, I went to talk to my father. Told him I wanted to do things differently, put my own stamp on it. And what did he say? That is why I gave it to you. The company is yours now. And if you need an advice, I'm here. The CEO didn't need to copy his father. He needed to decide who he would become. Legacy is not only preserving the past, it is also building the future. When decision and system align, you build legacy. When leaders are given the space to lead as themselves, they don't just improve performance, they build legacy. Who here has invested in a leadership program, a culture workshop, a team retreat, and had no results? It is not that the programs don't work. It is that motivation without a system evaporates. Motivation lasts as long as they stop, but transformation runs when nobody's watching. I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to help you create a system. Habits that replace reactions, decisions that become actions, KPIs that measure culture, and leaders who lead with purpose. Because that's the only change that lasts. Right now, somewhere, there's a leader in a doctor's waiting room, a manager in a conference room avoiding tough questions, a CEO who feels he's letting his father down. Those people don't need another talk. They need a decision, a culture that holds them when they make it. The culture gap isn't just the distance between what your organization says and what it does. It is the distance between the leader you are today and the leader the people needs you to be. Which brings me back to the first question. What does it take to transform your company's culture? Culture transformation starts with one decision. Yours. If you lead a company with more than 50 people and you feel this gap is inside your culture, don't start another workshop. Start with alignment. Schedule an alignment call and let's find it together, the system that better fits with your culture.
Absolutely incredible, Miguel. You have such a way with telling the stories. I was transfixed. I think everyone here was transfixed. How did that feel for you today, sharing this message?
It felt fantastic, Luke. It is amazing to be able to connect and impact with people. And this is a wonderful mission that we all have as transformational leaders.
Yeah, and I could just see so many comments, so many insights, so many distinctions that people were taking. And I just know, my friend, that you are destined to go and help so many leaders to grow this fertile soil that allows leaders to become more results-oriented, more focused on who they need to become. Beautiful stories. You're such a beautiful man. I really appreciate you, Miguel. Let's hear it again one more time for Miguel.
Thank you, Luke. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miguel. Okay, now our third speaker today is someone whose stories redefine our view of fairy tales as we know it. When Sarah was growing up, she was too tall to be a Disney princess. So she did the next best thing, and she became a certified life coach, bringing the dreams to everybody just the way that a fairy godmother would. And she now helps clients turn their trauma into trust, and unleash the leading lady that they have inside to create their own happily ever after. So please help me welcome to the stage with a groundbreaking talk, Take Your Leading Lady from Shame to Sparkles. Please welcome to the stage the incredible Sarah Duncan. Welcome to the stage, Sarah. Take it away. The stage is.
Thank you, Luke. And oh my gosh, Miguel and Scott, you slayed it. Well done. All right. Do you guys ever think about dying? Barbie from the live action Barbie movie. Have courage and be kind. Ella from Cinderella. You speak Parada? Rebecca Bloomwood from Confessions of a Shopaholic. You are the last man in the world I could ever be prevailed upon to marry. Elizabeth, Pride and Prejudice. Why is it that we as people spend so much time invested in other people's stories? Have you ever thought about that? Some say, well, it's because I'm just too overwhelmed with my life. It's a break for me. Oh, I'm too scared to be able to do other things, and so I just stay in my house. I'm too tired. Life is so hard sometimes. I just need a break. Now, all of these are true. But may I just offer one explanation at the core of all of these things? And it is that you don't trust yourself to live the life that you want. And that all starts with shame. Let's go back in time to when Sarah was 2 years old. Now, terrible twos, parents know that there's no rhyme or reason to what's going on, right? And I'm 2 years old, and my favorite thing in the world was to walk into the kitchen and see on the counter my favorite toy, a banana, butter, and a butcher's knife. And I would climb up onto that counter, and I would grab that banana, I would grab that butcher's knife, and I would start slathering it with butter. Who knows why? My mom would come walking in and be like, Sarah, what are you doing? Get off the counter. She'd take my toys away, put me on the ground, and then we'd start all over again. Now, finally, she got a little bit smarter, and she put the banana, the butter, and the butcher's knife on top of the fridge. Well, the next day, she walks in and sees Sarah sitting on top of the refrigerator, buttering my banana with the butcher's knife. And again, she screams, Sarah, get down from there. What are you doing? You are too stubborn, child of mine. Too adventurous, too determined. And while I had plenty of tude, like attitude, it was the first time in my life that I got tooed, as in T-O-O. Have you ever been tooed? Maybe you've heard you're too quiet, too loud, too competitive, too passive. Drop it in the chat. Where have you been tooed before? Because this started a pattern for me in my life. Let's fast forward to third grade, where I was in class and I would be too smart. In middle school, when I was 14, Sarah's just too good. We all can't be Sarah Duncan. High school, Sarah's too much energy. You never know what you're going to get from her. And all of a sudden, all of these things just started piling on from this vibrant little girl who was so determined and so happy to be buttering her banana with a butcher's knife, to feeling so judged that she didn't know who to be anymore. And so I started being a little bit of a chameleon, I started bending and twisting myself to try to be what I thought everybody else wanted me to be. And if I wasn't being true to me, then it hurt less to be judged, right? Because they didn't know the real me. God told me something differently after living like this for 23 years. I woke up one day having the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears and Ken from the live action Barbie movie. Now, what do they have in common? We know Goldilocks and the Three Bears, where she enters the cottage and she tries the porridge that is too hot, too cold, and then just right. And in this story, just sounds like perfection. Like, oh, this one didn't work, but this one does. It's just right. But from Ken had this identity crisis in his movie where he was the side character that had no purpose other than being Barbie's boyfriend. There was nothing unique about him because his entire purpose was to live for other people. And that's what I had been doing. Shoving myself down so that I wouldn't be judged and so that I could help other people instead of living my own life. Ugh, kind of hurts, right? But God told me something differently. And so with these two stories, if we take Sarah, you're just too good, and we move it around and we say, I'm just Sarah and I'm good too. You feel the difference? Because I'm enough. I am enough as a person. Being just Sarah has worth, has value. And the same for you. For Charlene, for Luke. You're just Luke. And you're something else too. These things, these points of shame, these heavy twos that you've been dealing with in your life, they're not a definition of who you are. They're an addition for who you are. So number one, you are enough. You are enough. Full stop. Now you think I would have gotten this and I would have been over my perfectionistic trying to please everybody. That was not the case. Fast forward to the year 2024. I'm working at my job at IKEA at the beginning of the year, and it's a great job. I loved my coworkers. But then fast forward to February, 1 month later, I found myself living in Australia. And for the next 3 months, I explored the entire country as well as myself. I met a guy down there who was a surfer, and he said he'd teach me how to surf. And I said, yes, I would love to. So Isaac's teaching me how to surf. We're out there paddling. And he asked me a question, staring into my soul, and just said, Sarah, what do you want? And the panic and the perfectionistic part of my brain, the chameleon that had been shifting and shaping for years, said, I don't know. And I almost started to cry because I didn't know. I'd spent so long running away from judgment that I'd stop hearing my own voice. Fast forward a month later, I found myself on the other side of the country in a pearl shop. Now, I have always been obsessed with pearls. And if you can see this right here, this is a genuine Australian pearl, and it is my prized possession. Why? Yes, it was expensive. Yes, it reminds me of a beautiful time when I was down there. But because for the first time in my life, I went after something I wanted. I walked into that shop and I said, I want to get a pearl. And the cute store people, they were like, let's do it. And they weren't prepared for the 2-hour-long process that I would take them through, back and forth, yes and no. Do I like the whiter one? Do I like the creamer one? I have no idea. I'm going to call my mother. I'm going to call all my best friends. I'm going to ask every other customer that comes into this shop because I just don't know. And finally, they let me take this pearl, and I walked outside. Very kind of them to let me take it out of this store. And I held up my phone to be looking at myself in the camera. And I said, Sarah, what do you want? And I heard Isaac repeat it in my mind. Sarah, what do you want? And I said, I want to be the girl with the pearl. Okay. Then the next thought came to me. So which pearl do you want? And I chose the white one. And I paid a lot of money for it. And I wore this necklace proudly for the rest of my trip because I wanted everybody to see me, the girl with the pearl who knew what she wanted. And I wasn't trying to hide. I wasn't trying to shapeshift into what I thought others wanted me to be. So if you are feeling just overwhelmed by the twos in your life, by the shame, remember that those shames are your sparkle. They're the things that make you you. You have worth. And then there's the fun things about you. Second, perfection is a myth. And while it takes practice to get over, you can do it. This is why I do what I do, and I work with unleashing the leading ladies. And number 3, this gets to be fun. You get to be the girl with the pearl who trusts herself. The girl in the green scarf who accepts her mistakes and becomes better for it. The girl who loses her shoe and not only changes the love of her life's life, but an entire kingdom. You get to be the leading lady of your own story. So if you want to do that, join me on my Facebook page where we share more movie quotes and more things from books. Why? So that we can be the leading ladies of our own life. Because your happily ever after is now. Thank you.
Oh my goodness me, Sarah. Wow, wow, wow. Number 3 gets to be fun.
It gets to be fun.
You look like you were having so much fun doing that. How did that feel for you?
It did feel fun. And I was just channeling that I do trust myself. Why? Because I have done the work and I know that this works and I want other people to experience that. And that is fun.
I get it. You know what I noticed and what I really loved was that we are all to something. And you just made it clear that we are all something too, not a definition, but an addition. I love that. And so many people were putting things in the chat. We had too small, too much, too chatty, too intense, too indecisive, too intimidating, too quiet. But they are all those things too. Yep. I love it. I love it. Sarah, your message reminds us we don't need to become someone else. We need to remember who we really are and remember to be the leading lady or lad.
Absolutely, lads. We're glad you're here.
I'm the leading lad. Thank you for your light, Sarah. Let's hear it one more time for Sarah.
Thank you.
Woo! Okay. So we have our final speaker coming up now. So I want to ask you a question. Who here wants to build something that could really have a huge impact on thousands or even millions of people? Because our next speaker started building something out of one simple but very powerful desire: freedom. And that small idea became Coachy, which is an online course platform that enables coaches and trainers to build and sell their own video courses. And over the past 9 years, what began as this line of code, this small personal project, has grown into an incredible company with a remote team working all over the world. And today, the founder, Dennis, is going to share the story of how and why Coachy was created and explore a powerful question. What could you build if you trusted yourself? Please welcome, live from Portugal, founder of Coachy, Dennis Spohr. Take it away, Dennis. The stage is.
Thank you very much, Luke. Thank you to all the other speakers. You were amazing. And talking about the others, if you look at the other people, did you ever felt behind, even while you were making progress? Did you ever feel they're more confident than you, they're more ready than you, maybe more successful than you. If you ever felt that, please, right now, write a yes in the comments. I'm sure you're not the only one. And I'm sure that even if you look at the people where you think they're ahead of you, they felt it at some point and they had these questions in their head. Yes, I see a lot of yeses in the comment. Thank you. So you really see that you're not alone with it. When I was 23, I made a big decision that really scared me. I moved abroad, away from Germany to Malta. Not because I had everything figured out, but because I wanted freedom. Palm trees, the ocean, the sun. It was one of the biggest challenges of my life. I remember one moment I was sitting at the beach with someone else. We were sitting there, relaxing, enjoying the sun, enjoying the warm water. It was beautiful. It was really relaxed and I was really confident there. And then she asked me something which made my heart racing. Can you order an ice cream for us? In that second, all my comfort went away. I was too scared to order that ice cream at the ice cream truck in English. Those two words, a simple ice cream, was too much for me. I just couldn't go. So guess what? We didn't have any ice cream on that day. Malta wasn't just a random move. It was my first attempt at choosing freedom. But during the day, I was still employed as a software developer, working for someone else. Not working on my own dream, not building a vision, just finishing task after task, deadline after deadline. But I didn't want to work on the dream of someone else. So after my 8-hour workday, I would continue working. I would work in the late afternoons, evenings, in the nights. And sometimes, even at midnight, it was still 30 degrees inside the apartment. 30 degrees inside. I remember thinking to myself, this is not my apartment, this is my private sauna. I'm sitting there in swimming shorts, my 2 monitors barely fitting on the desk, my oversized keyboard filling the rest of the space, and besides that, there was really no space left. Just this quiet belief that maybe this can work. But at the same time, I saw other founders. I saw them on stage, being confident, charismatic, really owning the stage. They were not second-guessing every sentence. They were not afraid to speak. I looked at them and I really was sure that's what a real founder looks like. And for sure, that's not me. But I realize comparison makes progress invisible. In the early days of Kochi, I flew to an event. It was called the Awesome People Conference. I remember thinking, I don't feel awesome at all. I was not sure if I really should go there. But eventually I decided to go. I took a plane and fly to Germany. On the first evening, we play one of those networking games. So if the music is on, we all walk around the room. And if the music stops, we introduce ourselves to the person next to us. So the music is on. I'm walking into the room. I see all the other people trying to look confident, but inside feeling very nervous, very uncomfortable. And then the music stops. I turn to the guy next to me, and before I can say anything, he says, "You're the guy from Kochi, right?" I look at him and I'm just confused. How can he know Kochi? How is that even possible? Carefully, I look back at him and say, yes, that's me. And he smiles. I use Koji, I love it. It works so well. And for a second, I don't know what to say. I feel surprise, disbelief, insecure. And then I feel something which I hadn't allowed myself to feel before. Pride. People were using Koji. They were speaking about it, they were even recommending it. My confidence just hadn't caught up yet. That was my first selfie with a client. And it was such a big moment for me that it was actually me asking him for that selfie. But then things changed a lot and Koji grew a lot. Koji became an 8-figure business and one of the leading platforms in Germany. I could see all the numbers, I could see all the growth, but growth looks very different when you see it in the life of the people around you. And I remember one moment where that really hit me. Because my team works fully remote, once a year we meet somewhere in the world to catch up. We spend a week brainstorming together, connecting and having fun. I remember one time we were all together in South Africa, sitting on the beach watching penguins together. And there's this one evening, everyone is in the kitchen, our private chef had just prepared dinner for us, and everyone is enjoying reconnecting. And then a new team member arrives. It was his first time meeting everyone in person. He comes into the room and I see all the other people running towards him, laughing, smiling, so happy to see him and hugging him. He must have felt they know each other forever. I see this and I think, wow. Some of them came in a plane and they were sitting in a plane for 12 hours. They came in from different parts of the world, trusting that this is worth it. Just a few years earlier, it was just me sitting alone in my private sauna in Malta. Now, we are all here together because something I started. Koji didn't win by shouting to the market. Koji won by solving a real problem really well. It needs you to trust what you're building. Quiet doesn't mean small. And impact doesn't require noise. Over the last 9 years, thousands of coaches have joined Koji. Some of them clicked publish on the very first online course, and for the very first time, they made money with their knowledge online. Today, 1.5 million members are learning from those coaches on my platform. 1.5 million members. Sometimes I really try to understand this number. That's not just users and a lot of data. Those are real people. And the crazy part? I didn't change. I didn't become louder. I just kept building. Quiet doesn't mean small. It never did. Do you remember the question I asked you at the beginning? Do you ever look at someone else? Stop looking at someone else. Stop looking at me. Build what's yours. For each coach who joins Koji, we plant a tree. By now, we have planted 25,000 trees. 25,000 trees from one single line of code. Maybe what you're building right now, quietly, consistently, and without applause, is already much bigger than the version you have in your head. And maybe instead of asking yourself, am I behind? The much better question for you is, what is my seed that I'm ready to plant today? Thank you.
Oh my goodness me. Wow, Dennis, that was incredible. How did that feel for you today to give your message?
Very exciting. I'm super happy. It was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, and you know, I see you grow in your speaking journey, Dennis, and I just see all that growth and just your connection, your storytelling, just how present you are. It's just mesmerizing. So, and I think it's so inspiring to ask, what could you build if you didn't limit yourself? And I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there in the audience that are really want to know, how can I find out more about Dennis? And what is Coachy? Because, you know, you talk in very small ways, but it's such an incredible platform that has changed so many lives. So if people do want to know more about that, how can they find out more about you then, Dennis? What's the best way?
The best way is to connect with me over Instagram, because there I share a lot of knowledges and personal stuff and reflections. And from there, you also can go to Coachy, of course.
Okay, perfect. Well, we've dropped the link into the chat. So if you do want to connect with Dennis and find out more and listen to this beautiful man's mesmerizing philosophy and perspective on life and how many lives he's transformed, please do connect with him. Dennis, thank you so much. Let's hear it again one more time.
Thank you.
The incredible Dennis Spohr. Thank you so much, Dennis. Well, guys, what an amazing speaker summit we have had today. Let's just take a moment right now to appreciate what's happened here today. We've had 4 incredible speakers. We've had 4 unique stories shared, but one shared message. The transformation starts when you decide to show up as your full self. And I want to thank each and every one of you in the audience, the energy that you're putting into the chat, the distinctions, the shares. It has been wonderful. So I know you guys have been playing full out. So I want to applaud and recognize each and every one of you out there in the audience for playing full out and supporting our speakers today. And here's my final request to you guys. One more ask. What's one takeaway that you really were inspired by today? And what action are you going to take as a result of today? Because I want to encourage each of you to never leave the scene of inspiration and transformation without making a decision about what that is going to mean for you. And what are you going to do with it? Because you could be inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs and business owners and people across the world, like all of our speakers today have done. So thank you once again also to our incredible speakers. We want to thank your commitment to the journey, to overcome that most primal of fears, that of speaking in front of an audience. And it's that invisible barrier that keeps so many people from sharing their truth, their wisdom, and things that could change and transform the world that we live in. Our world, your world, the whole world can be changed when we decide to step up, speak from our hearts, speak with our truth, and speak about what matters. So, transformation doesn't end here. Transformation begins when you implement this into your life. So I want to honor your commitment, everything coming into the chat. This is amazing. We really love it. And for everybody who's been inspired on your own journey with what you've seen today, you're going to find some links on this page below where you can connect with us in the Public Speaking Academy, because our mission is to transform the world through speaking. Because when we speak, we command attention. Speakers are leaders of attention, and we can lead attention to the things that can transform more lives if we work together with the power and the truth of our collective wisdom. Thank you for playing full out. For those who are in the Public Speaking Academy, we are going to go now for the best part of the entire process. We're going to be going back and we're going to be showering our incredible speakers with compliments for everything they've done today and what we noticed and how we've all been transformed. It's one of the most beautiful parts of the Public Speaking Academy. And if you feel that you want to transform the world through your voice and your truth, we love you to join our beautiful community and share in this incredible journey. So we're going to go and do that. And I want to remind every single one of you that you are amazing. And we'll see you on the next one.
One day, we'll be looking back on this and we'll say, aren't you happy that we did it our way? Everyone we knew was saying no way, but we were never listening anyway. So don't be just standing in the doorway. Don't you know we gotta hit the highway? Darling, this is gonna be a good day. And I've gotta say that I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. One day, I'll be looking back on this and I'll say, I'm so happy that you said you would stay. There were times I know that I was crazy, fraying at the edges and you saved me. I'm losing count of chances that you gave me. You're laughing at me dancing really badly and telling me the reasons why you'd gladly do it all again. Cause I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Well, hey, words can never adequately convey everything you're giving to me today. But holding you is better than a holiday, and leaving you I dread it like exam day. So at the risk of sounding kinda risque, everything to now has been the foreplay. Darling, I would follow you to Norway, or anywhere you want it. Cause I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing.